All right.
Mm.
Hi, guys.
Hey, y'all. Welcome
Hey,
back to We Didn't
y'all.
Read the Fine Print podcast. I'm your host, Teddy.
And I'm Farrah.
And today we got a special guest. But before we get to that, we got to do our mom check-in.
Yes.
Hey, mommy. How are you?
Hi, Teddy.
Hey,
I'm
baby.
good. How are you? Well, let me get into my check-in.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, but I'm going to let everybody else know. Guys, I had a breakthrough. So in my last 4 years since the pandemic, I have not been to church.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back for the first time last
Amazing.
weekend. Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And all is well. I've been praying more and talking to God, and it's helping me through. Definitely recommend it. It's all jokes aside, it's a place I've been. It's familiar. And once you go back, it's just like home.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I got back. So it's been good, still have my little ups and downs,
Right.
No more crash outs, but where I'm just taking it day by day.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, so mom check-in, how's you?
I'm good. I can't complain. I'm still like, dipping and dabbling in the things that I was talking about off camera to you.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing that. And I'm also getting back into church. So I didn't make it last Sunday. I was supposed to, but I didn't make it. But this Sunday, I'm definitely going to be there.
Yes.
I'm excited about it. And I do feel like going back to church and like getting back like closer to God, building that relationship, I have seen a difference. Girl, I got job interviews out of nowhere. And
Blessings.
I'm just like, what's up with these blessings? Yeah, this is God talking to me saying, yeah, baby, I told you to come on back. Your girl's back. So I'm enjoying it. I like that. Everything else as well. I'm excited for like just like a new start, a new beginning. Everything feels like new. I feel like I'm shedding old skin and I'm stepping into like, I don't know, a glow up. So I'm ready for this glow up.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good. Yes. We got a lot of good stuff coming. Y'all.
I'm so excited.
We can't wait. Well, I wish you could just say it now, but we'll tell you.
Everything
you have to
is
keep
falling
tuning
into
in.
place.
You'll find out.
Yes. So as mentioned, we have a wonderful guest.
We have a guest again, y'all. You guys love guests. We love guests. Everybody loves guests, especially when it's a good one.
Yes. Well, we have a guest. We have Mr. Gary, and he is a licensed therapist, y'all. So we're going to get into some things. So let's introduce yourself, Mr. Gary.
Well, okay. It's hard to follow this, man. No, I just want to say I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank
and
you.
listening to you guys, and you guys are really hitting the mark on so much. So I mean, just keep on doing what y'all are doing, for real.
Yeah.
As for me, my name is Gary Jones. I am a licensed therapist. I'm an LCSW in the state of Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland.
Okay.
And I've been a therapist now since 2006. So maybe close to 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Ooh, lots of experience.
It's something I love to do. It's
that.
something I love to do. I work as a therapist full time for an agency called RHD, but I also have my own business that I do, my own part-time business. I'm not going to say part-time. It's mine, and it's Surviving Today LLC.
I love that.
And so I've been doing that for like the last 10 years or so, and just being involved in this world of trying to help people.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's what I like
That's
to
your
do.
gift.
Amazing.
I used to teach. I used to be a professor at Delaware County Community College and Cabrini University when I was there. Thank you. And I mean, basically, those are the things I like to do. I like to talk, so y'all might have to reel me in a little bit. But I mean, most importantly for me, when people ask me who I am, what I do, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a grandfather. And for me, I just think that's really what we are at the end of everything that we do. At the end of all the accomplishments that we achieve. It's your family that's
Talk
there.
about it.
And that's why I always try to tell people, make sure that you do what you do, but make sure you keep your family first and intact. Because other things can change.
Yes.
But that doesn't really change.
Yeah,
You know?
you'll always be a father, always be a husband.
Listen, my grandkids let me know that I'm their grandpop every time they beat me up.
Okay. Papa.
Yeah. So you know how that goes.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yes.
That really is. That's some good role modeling. Some good. That's just lovely. And I'm happy for your credentials that you did what you wanted to do. And tell us more about your. You said you have your own little side thing. That you
So
do?
yeah, I'm a therapist by day and a therapist by night. Okay, basically, Surviving Today LLC is it's my practice. I founded it in 2014. Basically, I work with primarily I work with individuals that present with anxiety issues, depression issues, trauma related issues, and my other specialty is working with men. You know, working with men in terms of the different things that we as men go through and that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much that's the specialty for my specific practice that I do.
That's amazing.
That during the daytime, and my other job, I work with all sorts of individuals.
Yeah.
But in general, my specific areas that I'm interested in would be those four that I said. Because I think that in those four, it's not that other issues aren't important. They are. But I think that a lot of the things that we deal with find our root in there. We can be surprised how much our anxieties, our daily depressions, our traumas, especially our traumas, because we can be traumatized and not really recognize what we're traumatized by.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't realize it till years later.
Yes.
So to me,
we gonna talk about some things, Mr. Gary.
I'm going to take a sip on that one.
I love that. I love that so much, and I love that you said that you specialize with dealing with men because I do think I find that a lot of men shy away from therapy and shy away from getting some of the help that they deserve, and I don't know if that's because they're not aware or they just maybe in our community hasn't been a big thing to like go get help, go get therapy, or maybe they just don't recognize that they may need the help. So I do want to start with some questions, but just before we get into that, you can give some resources to some people of like maybe where they can find your practice or like other forms of therapy if maybe they're like, you know, shying away from like actually personal therapists, but maybe like group therapy
or
or
some first steps and stuff. Like
some of the first steps that I would suggest to people is the very first thing, if you have insurance to begin with, if you have insurance, look at the back of that insurance card.
Yes.
Call your membership number.
Yes.
You know, ask them what therapists are in my area, and you can be specific about what you're looking for.
Right.
So, like for example, if you want a person of color therapist, tell them that's what you want. If you want a woman therapist, tell them that's what you want. Don't be shy at that.
Right.
That's what your insurance companies are there for. That.
Yeah.
Another resource I would say for people who might be working are your EAPs. Like with your employers, employee assistant programs. And so basically most employees will offer the EAP. The EAP, you know, like, and basically it's like they might offer, I guess maybe 4, 5, 6 brief therapy
I used
sessions.
it before.
And so a lot of times people don't recognize that their jobs offer that. Sometimes the jobs don't even really advertise it.
Right.
But you contact your human resource department, see what they say, and then that's something you can do. Usually those services are free.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you can use whatever free services are there first. You should.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of therapy, often a lot of times what I recommend, I belong to an agency called Black Men Heal. Black Men Heal offers 8 free sessions for men, you know, and there's no charge at all. After the 8 sessions, a lot of times, you know, the men might stay with the therapist. You know, sometimes they don't, but basically they may. It's Clinicians of Color, which is also, I mean, that's on, if you go online, you can just plug them in. You can look for them. If you're in Delaware, I know I'm associated with an agency called Black and Brown Therapists of Delaware. Once again, we're out there. See, I think a lot of times people think that there's no Black therapists because a lot of times they don't see Black therapists, especially Black male therapists. But we're out there. But a lot of times we have to do the search. We have to do the
diligence.
And me and myself, I'm online. I'm www.surviving. I don't even know my own. Look for Surviving the Day LLC, folks. Look for Surviving the Day LLC.
There you go.
We'll tag you too.
We'll put everything.
We'll tag all the resources as well.
And my number is there and how to get in contact with me. And also I got friends, who do this. So I often tell people when it comes to therapy, if one therapist doesn't work for you, it's okay to get another therapist.
Yes.
If I don't work for you, let me help you find somebody else. I don't want to have the market on it. Because sometimes what I've realized is that I am not for everybody.
Right.
Sometimes my style, the way I speak, whatever, it doesn't work for people. So that's okay.
You truly want to help.
I want to help you. I want to make sure that you get what you need to get and get to the person who might be able to help you better than I can.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's what therapy really is all about. And I think that the heart of a therapist, honestly, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. I love that. Yes. I love that.
Helping.
Yes, Mr. Gary.
Thank you, ladies. I'm trying.
Listen, we pulled the big guns out, okay?
Come on,
pull it out for you.
All right, let me get another sip on this one. Okay. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, so I guess we kind of already hit the whole benefits of therapy because you said that's good. So we just gonna roll right into it.
Roll in it.
We're going right into it. So first we wanted to say, we want to go into when feeling overwhelmed, what's some signs and symptoms that you should look out for to know when you may benefit from, okay, I need to maybe seek help or something.
Yeah.
Or this is getting bad, or, depression is taking me over. Like, I need help before it gets to the point
it gets too bad.
It gets too bad, basically.
Right. So that's a good question. One of the things you want to think about is you got to look at if it's the anxiety that you're feeling. All of us get anxious. All of us get depressed. But now what we're looking for is this thing lasting all the time. Is this something that this isn't just your normal anxiety that might happen, because the kids can't get to sleep or whatever.
Right.
This is anxiety that might result from that, but it might be something that lasts. And now it's impacting your daily functioning. So there's an interruption in what you might normally do because you got these things on your mind.
Yeah.
If it's depression, we could be talking about the fact, like we all, as I said, we all get depressed.
Yeah.
But are you sleeping more?
Right.
Are you sleeping all the time?
Right.
Are you having or are you having a hard time sleeping? It could be those type of things.
Wow.
So what we're looking at is we're looking at prolonged symptoms. We're looking at stuff that is a little higher than the normal, and it's stuff that it's out of the normal. It's not something that, I just had a bad night.
Right.
Now I've had about 10 bad nights sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just because my baby's up.
Right.
It's because there's other stuff going on. So when those symptoms are continuing, that's, you want to see that. So now part of it is that you have to actually begin able to take a look at yourself.
Right.
So which means that sometimes people don't have that awareness that there's even something going on.
Right.
So we have to get that awareness that, okay, wow, yeah, this has been happening to me, and this is kind of out of the norm.
It's not my norm.
When those things start to happen, now you need to really think about, okay, should I talk to a therapist? Talking to a therapist is not something that we normally do.
Right.
Yes.
It's not something that we normally do in our communities. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have people that do talk to therapists,
Right. Yes.
but it's not something that we normally do. So what do we normally do? We might go
Talk to our friends.
Go talk to we talk to our friends. We drink, cry, all of those things. And sometimes all of those things work sometimes.
Right.
But there comes a point when it's not working the way that you want it to work.
Yes.
Or not working the way it used to work. And you know, that drink becomes 2 drinks, you know, or 4 drinks. You know, that cry that might have lasted for a half hour is now lasting intermittently for the whole night or 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, your friends, you find that, I really got some stupid friends. Okay. And, you know, I mean, I'm going to say we cannot take advice from everybody.
No, that's
okay?
true.
Very true.
Or in a very positive note, we find that what our friends are telling us probably makes sense, but it's not hitting the mark. See, the thing about our friends is that it's good that you need to have that support system.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we have to remember that your friends they're just that. Your friends. Like, for example, I can't provide therapy to my family members.
Yeah.
And why can't I provide that to my family members? I can't do it because I know y'all.
Yeah.
I know what y'all do.
Right.
I know the stupid stuff you did. I know why you in that situation.
Right.
So I can't be unbiased because I know what you did, and it irritated me. I know too much. Thank you.
And it
You know,
irritated
I know it
me.
irritated, and I know
Bobby.
too much. Yeah, exactly. You know, but now, that doesn't mean I don't talk to my family, but I can't provide therapy.
Yeah.
But a therapist is supposed to be that person that's supposed to be unbiased. It's supposed to be, hopefully doesn't know your situation,
Right.
you know, but it's beginning to come in to know your situation.
Yeah.
And now, hopefully they can bring in some advice that will be helpful and neutral, you know, and I think that's really the key thing. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what you want to see. So to answer your question, I think basically I would say when you start to see those symptoms increase, when you start to feeling more overwhelmed and you just feel like I just can't function, you know, the way I used to, the joy that used to give me, that's when you want to start looking.
No, 100%. I agree.
But a lot of people, you know what? I found like a lot of people like justify or make excuses. Like, I'm having a good time. I'm having fun. And they be like, you've been having fun for a year, girl.
What's wrong?
Talk to me. You know what? Don't talk to me because talk to Gary.
It's like you're having fun right here, but when you go home, you're crying to your pillow.
Girl.
So what's really going on?
Well, you know
We're at the grocery store.
that
You
also
put a
adds in a whole nother piece. So a lot of times another thing is that we will put on that happy face. Think about those commercials that we see on TV. You know,
no.
Okay.
You know, think about those commercials we see on TV, the medication commercials. You know, the person comes in, they're holding this really big smiley face sign, but deep behind it, you know, you can tell that the implication is they're not happy.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we do is we put on a facade because we feel like we have to put on a facade. Now, unlike for a lot of guys that I work with, what they'll do is they'll put on this. See, we've been taught to be
tough,
hard, to man up.
Yeah.
So since we've been taught to man up, that's what we feel we have to do in the first place. We feel like we cannot do anything else but that. So now I got to show you how tough I am. I got to show you how tough I can show you. I got to show you I can handle this. Now, deep down inside, I probably can't really handle it the way I want to.
Right.
But now I'm afraid. Now I'm afraid because you might have been dealing with guys that were able to do it. So you get where I'm going. So now, so what that means though is the help I need to get, I'm not getting.
Right.
You know, and that's my choice. But I'm not getting the help that I need.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like at some point you have to be real with yourself.
Yes.
To know that okay, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And in order to get okay, I may need to reach out to get some help to be okay.
Exactly.
And the help that I'm reaching out for may not be what I used to help me. It may not work no more.
Exactly.
So I got to step outside of my comfort zone to like really be able to evolve and really like channel whatever it is that I'm dealing with.
Yeah,
okay, I love that.
Help.
Yes, get help.
Yeah, because Keisha.
She going through the same stuff you going through.
Okay, she's going through the same stuff.
She don't know left from right. She can't help you.
Okay, cool.
She
I
might
love
try,
that.
but she can't.
She might means well, but that's not enough.
And your girlfriend,
Not
that
enough.
whole, you ever hear people say this whole little thing, like, oh, you want this person to be your peace. It's like you have to find peace within yourself first. Okay, because
You gotta
you're
be
taking my
peace.
peace. You're draining my peace. You know, you're draining me, and now I ain't got no peace.
Oh, you should
You
have
done
taken
laid
a
it
sip
all
on that
on
one
me.
right there.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Mr. Gary.
it's like, you know,
your piece is important.
your piece is important.
And I don't want to take up all the time, but your piece is important. And if you are not bringing me peace, then I have to figure out how I want to manage that. Now, I might
Wait,
not.
we gonna get there.
Okay.
Please.
All right,
We got something for you.
Okay.
got
All right. Okay.
some.
We got something for you now,
We're going
Mr.
to stop right there.
Okay.
But that was
Bring
good
it
though.
on.
I
Bring it
love
on.
that though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we gonna go? I feel like you kind of touched on this, but we have it here. It says in your experience of your professionalism, do you see more men or women? But I hear you say you got a lot of programs geared to men.
So I am in my private practice. It's kind of it's kind of balanced right
Okay,
about now. It's
that's
kind of
good.
balanced right now, and it's not like so. I don't set out to have like say I want more men. I'm just going
Right,
to.
right,
It's
right,
not.
right.
It's not like that. A lot of times, it's people will come to me or they'll see advertising, whatever, or word of mouth. A lot of times, word of mouth is key.
Yes.
So, they'll say, I heard about you from such and such person and et cetera. So, it's for me right now, it's pretty balanced.
Okay, that's cool.
So I guess, I guess I would say it's pretty balanced. So you don't start out looking for it being like now there are some people though that do specify. Like, I have some of my friends that specifically do women. That's who they see. And that's their niche. And that is okay. And and I have some friends of mine who specifically see Black males. So I see Black and white, Hispanic, I see male, female, but I do have a specific. Let me make sure I said that right. Specific. My daughter used to always get on me. She used to say, Dad, it's not Pacific. It's specific. I said, okay, right.
Pacific Ocean?
Exactly. So I do have a specific love towards men in terms of making sure that we deal and we tackle those men.
We do too.
Yes.
We really do.
We all do.
I know.
We all do.
We are mommies first.
Yes.
Okay.
Boy, mom said that.
So, okay, here's a good one. How
Yes,
much
sir.
of your childhood trauma affects your adulthood?
The reality is all of your childhood trauma impacts it.
Can you say that again, Mr. Gary?
Okay. The truth of the matter is all of your childhood trauma impacts all of your adult life. Now, the reality is the question is how? So, for example, if you got a young man whose father is not in his life, then the problem is that's traumatic.
Yeah.
Whether or not it doesn't, and once again, it doesn't mean that he doesn't come from a stable household.
Right.
It doesn't mean, because I want to make sure I'm clear with that. There's a lot of households where there's no man in the household, but yet, you guys are examples.
Yeah.
You guys are holding it down.
NFL players,
exactly.
basketball players,
Yeah.
we make them all.
Exactly. And the reality is that, but the fact that there is no man there, if there's no men in that young boy's life to show him how to navigate, then that can become a problem.
Yes.
So what happens is that he's going to begin to navigate on his own.
Yeah.
And sometimes navigating on your own almost always goes wrong.
Yeah, that's us. I'm just figuring it out.
It almost always goes wrong. So we have to be able to think about this. Okay, so once again, we don't see this until we get older. So like, for example, a lot of men will be like, well, I'm going to teach my son to do such and such. But the problem is that nobody taught you how to do that. I know, like, for me.
Let's talk about it.
Wow, that is so interesting. Because don't we gonna go?
Okay.
That was
All right.
let's get there.
Let me just say, like, for example, I know for me in my life,
Yes.
I had 3 major men in my life. But I need to kind of caption how I say that, because I had my grandfather, because there was a point in my life that even though I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters,
oh wow,
we didn't all live together. We weren't all of the same. So therefore, I spent the first maybe 13 years of my life with my grandparents down south.
Okay.
wow.
When my grandmother passed, I was with my grandpa. I mean, Grandpa, he didn't really know how to be, and he wasn't expecting to have to suddenly in his later life
take on
be a caretaker for a 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13. He wasn't expecting that, and I think that was hard. My grandfather also, had some issues with alcohol. So he had those things that he was dealing with. I moved up here after he died. I moved up here. I lived with my mom, and the gentleman that I often call my stepdad, but my mom never got married. So I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to put too much of her business out there because my mom is an excellent person. I don't want anybody to be thinking that,
all his moms are.
My mom, no, seriously, my mom, I think years later, I realized that, wow, my mom handled so much that I didn't realize that she handled.
Yes.
That it was like, she's amazing to me. But as a young man, you don't always realize.
Yes.
But the second gentleman, he provided, but then, he, just because a man is there don't mean that he's there,
Very
and then there was a point when he wasn't there, and then the third person was my own biological father. I didn't meet my biological dad till I was like in my 20s.
Oh, wow.
So I knew, that's a whole story within himself, but I knew his name.
Okay.
And I didn't find him until I actually decided that I was going to go look for him. Okay. But can you imagine the trauma that I had to deal with? So, and all of that, and that was before I became a father. So when I became a father, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Right, how about
and then I was the father of a girl. Okay, so I had no idea. Okay, luckily my wife obviously was there, but even she had her own issues where she had some issues of trauma. So we both were trying to navigate all of that, and that was not an easy process. So for men who are dealing with issues of trauma that they don't even realize is trauma. Because see, we think of trauma as being this big piece, like, oh my God, someone died or somebody. No.
Right.
Sometimes trauma is just the fact that the person you were supposed to love wasn't loving you.
Yeah.
Or the person that was supposed to love you wasn't loving you, or didn't know how to love you. Sometimes that's trauma, or it shows up as trauma in our lives as we move and we get older. And so those are the type of things, and I'm going to just shut up right now. So I don't know what y'all got.
We're not here for the show.
I love that. Wait, I also want to say, like, since we did bring all of that up, just to process it a little bit, you was just saying how an absent parent, like, two things could be true, right? You can come from a wholesome background where like your mom or like whatever your support system was there and they did like a wonderful job, but because like this person may have not been present, it's still some trauma that had formed, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like two things can be true at once, but it's like even in like the trauma forming or occurring, I feel like a lot of times, because it, like you said, it's not like this big thing, a lot of people don't view it as a thing. And then when you get older, it's like it's coming out in different ways, but you still aren't even aware that this is a thing and that this is causing problems in relationships and this and that and that. But it's like you can't even get help to rectify or like even like begin to unpack or unlearn some of the things that you have been taught or have been like normalized because you don't see it as a problem.
And then when someone bring it to your attention, you take it as an attack.
You being attacked.
And you attacked and then you throwing it on them. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe for men or women, it can be like how you say it or whatever. But I feel like if you're not ready to hear it, you're just not ready to hear it. I don't care if you tell me that I'm drinking too much and my mom was drinking too much. Can you see that and this and that? If I'm not ready to hear it, no, I don't. I like to drink because I'm going out, but not even really seeing that you're creating the same thing. And don't let the child be looking at you. You're just really like, doing the same thing that you saw.
Exactly.
And then also too, because you said like, you became a father, but it was like, I had no real base of what a father looked like or like what a father role is and how that play out. So you just kind of learn as you go or whatever. But sometimes I feel like with
sometimes you don't learn as you go.
And you don't learn sometimes. Sometimes I feel like because you didn't have an example, I feel like in some people's mind it's easier to run away or walk away from the responsibility because it's like, I don't know that I'm capable of being what you want me to be. And instead of just trying, instead of just putting forth effort, I fall back.
Or you do try and then you hit a wall and then you fall back. It's like, it's okay.
You try and it don't go what you think that it's supposed to go, and then you stop. But it's like life keeps going.
Because nobody likes failure. Nobody likes failure.
True.
And years later, when you have to look at your child and you may have failed them, you know, and we can go back. So the thing about trauma, there's the layers of trauma, and there's a lot of things that cause it. So, for example, you can have an alcoholic father, okay? But think about it. Nobody wakes up and says, "I'm going to be. I want to grow to be an alcoholic." No,
very true.
Systematically in your family, you might have people who are always getting together every weekend. And I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying it's wrong. But I'm saying, but that's what we do. Now we socialize that. Every week we get together. We're going to do this. And now the kids are seeing you do that. And as they get older, they get included into that.
Very true.
So we see how we're talking about layers of trauma, generations of trauma.
Yeah.
They get passed down from one to the other.
Well, how do you break that, Gary? Can we like?
Well, ask the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. That sounded like a question to me, but I'm just saying, okay.
Hold on, because I think you got a question that gets it.
Okay. Well,
let me just
let's see if we have the actual question that she wants, but that's a good question, though.
Yeah, I want to know, I don't think we asked her, how do you break generational curses? Or how do you, some tips or something like, because people are just over and over and over. Like, what is something that's just like, okay, I got to snap out of this. I feel like you got to be the chosen one. I don't know.
No, you know what I think? What has to happen?
Siblings,
it is something that both of you guys said earlier. You got to be aware of where you are. You have to become aware of what you've experienced, what you've been through, and how that impacts you. So in other words, you got to become aware of yourself, and you got to be able to say to yourself, "Okay, that was wrong. What I learned was wrong. What I did was wrong, and I don't want to repeat this anymore." So if you come like I did, born in a rural southern area, my grandfolks and their people, they spank and they ask questions later if they decide. There you go. If they ask questions, and they might not have asked you any questions, Now, for me, my grandmother would probably be appalled because she'd be like, with my daughter, what I did was, now I'm not saying I didn't spank. I did spank, but I didn't have to spank as much because what I tried to do was to try to talk to her, and especially as she became a teenager, to say, listen, this is what I need you to know, okay? Because you're going to go out into this, and now with me talking to her, that did not mean that I wasn't expecting certain things. Because me and your mama getting up paying, we going to work every day. So you need to do
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z. And some things are negotiable and some things were never negotiable. But the point I'm making is that one generation teaches you one thing. And then by that time it gets to you, you got to decide if that's the way you want to handle that situation. And I think, so in breaking generational curses, I think that's part of the solution. You have to look at yourself. You got to say to yourself, hey, you know what? This didn't work out very well for me. Or this is how it impacted me. I don't want to do this any longer. I don't want to continue this pattern. Or for my child, I don't want to do that anymore. I like what Joshua in the Bible said at one point. He said, as for me and my household, we'll serve the Lord. As for me and my household, we will talk. We will communicate. You will not get to just, we ain't got no Maury kids, and it ain't those type of things, but
you can voice how you feel.
You can voice
so I can understand you a little bit.
Exactly. I want you to do that.
You have to be a little bit vulnerable.
So you got to be able to see how it hurt you, how it damaged you. She's going to need a little time for this. Okay.
Don't mind our picture of mimosa.
Just you're gonna need a little something. I mean, you got to be able to recognize that you stand in need of healing, and when you recognize that you stand in need of healing, then that's when you realize I need to change.
Yes.
So that's where healing starts with that moment when you realize that you got to change something about yourself.
That's true. And you know what? I'm gonna be personal.
Go ahead.
Personable on here. So for me, I always kind of thought that I was like exempt from certain things because I grew up with my father in the household. So I used to be like, I don't got no daddy issues. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have that. I just thought like I was exempt from that
but
because
I can understand where
I
that
had my father in the house, right?
Yep.
Then I started dating this guy and he said to me, he said, you don't know how to show emotion. Now, I can get into the astrology too. I'm a little astrology bae. So I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
And, Cancers are known to be like crybabies. We're water signs. We feel a lot of energy and all of this. So I'm like, I show emotion. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But I'm also like an introspective type person. So when he said that, it made me kind of like think like, what did he mean when he say that? And then it made me realize that my father was a bit emotionally unavailable with me, you know? And I didn't realize that. And for years, I've always carried it the way I seen my dad carry it. Like my relationship with the men has always been like, emotionally unavailable on my end because I didn't know how to be vulnerable with a man because I didn't know how to be vulnerable with my father. Since a young child, like my dad used to be like, don't start that crying stuff. Like I couldn't cry. I couldn't be soft. I had to be hard. I have 2 older brothers. So his experience as a father started with boys. When he had a girl, he didn't know that like you got to be different. You know, he didn't know that. And I realize now that like your parent can only parent you as far as they know how to be. You know what I mean? And he didn't know how to be soft. He didn't see nothing different or none of that. So I'm like, okay, so maybe I do have a problem. Once I realized that, like, I really don't know how to show emotions. And then when I even thinking about it, when I start like back at that time, when I started thinking about it, it made me feel kind of uncomfortable. I had a very uncomfortable feeling with vulnerability. It made me feel weak. It made me feel like like real weird with like just being candid with somebody and like being emotional. Like I wouldn't cry in front of people.
It don't feel natural, right?
It
Something that should be so natural for us women until we had these boys though. That brought us out of us.
It was when like I was kind of moved back at home and I had to like really deal with it with my dad. And I was like so upset with him because I just felt like, why couldn't you be the dad that I wanted you to be? I always wanted to be like daddy's little girl. You treat me like a princess. And I didn't have that. I had to be tough. You know what I mean? And it was like me being tough created these tough relationship with the men that I have. And like, that's not the kind of relationship that I want to be in. So my self-awareness was like, oh, okay, you need to go get a little bit of help because whatever you was working for you before is not working.
So let's begin by saying, I want to deal with this whole thing about 2-parent households.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we put a lot of stock in that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to knock the ones where it works.
Yeah.
But there are some where it doesn't work.
Talk about it.
There are some where 2-parent households don't work. And I think we just got to keep that. No matter if you're dealing with a 1-person household or 2-person household, you got to be talking about healthy and non-toxic households. Now, I'm going to say for your dad, once again, I know like for me, I had, been around guys. So all of a sudden I ended up being the father of a girl. I don't know what to do with that, except for the love on her. But now the crazy piece about that though, for me was there was that part of her that when she got to be a certain age, I taught her how to kind of hold her hands and fight. I didn't want her to be violent, but trauma. When I was a kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, I was being chased home. Okay, I didn't know how to fight, and my grandparents couldn't go out there and do all that. So it was I lived in this sort of constant state of fear, right? So I didn't want her to live in that state of fear. So I wanted her to be the little girl that she was, but I also wanted her to be the type of girl that you can go and mess with her if you want to. She's going to defend herself. I think once again, we as men, we we teach as we've been taught.
Yes.
And then when we realize that the way we've been taught is not healthy, then we try to do it different. But then some men don't ever try to do anything different.
Right.
Wow, yeah.
Because they don't realize that they're wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So like, I want to say my dad is a wonderful man.
I know.
You know, this is not nothing
Yes.
to bash my father. I love my dad to death. That's my guy. He's always been there. You know what I mean? I just know as a adult that he can only give me what he had or what he knows. And I feel like how he was saying, you know, some people don't try different ways because you're scared of failure. I think he was really ultimately scared to fail me as a father. So he just presented what he knew. And that he didn't try to be different or try to be softer because now I'm a girl, you got to do it different. I'm just going to give you what I know so I won't fail you. And I think that's where it came from.
What we know, that's what we work with.
Yes.
What we know then can be something that we recognize we might need to change.
Yes.
It doesn't make the parent a bad parent. Like your dad, I'm pretty sure your dad was good. The fact that you guys are here, you know,
Exactly.
Dad did something right.
Exactly.
Okay?
Come on, Tim. I love you, man.
I don't even know you, sir, but you know, still. Okay. But I know that Dad did a lot of things right. I mean, but I think what happens that a lot of times we just don't know.